All right. Well, I think we're all set to go. Thank you, everyone, for joining again. Hopefully, you had a great weekend. And yeah, so I want to keep this as interactive as possible. I had this blocked off for an hour. I just wanted to reconfirm. Is that time frame still good for you? I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, an hour is okay.
We can try to. I can try to. You know, I can try to shorten it up. I just won't speak as much, and I'll just leave it open for questions at the end. And if we need to regroup, if we run out of time or anything like that, then we can regroup and do it again. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Um, I was actually kind of turning over in my head here how best to
Welcome to Ring Central Conferencing. Please enter your access code followed by the pound. This menu will repeat. Access code accepted. You are the only participant in this conference.
Are you guys all set on your side, or?
We're still here. We didn't do anything.
Okay. All right. I heard somebody like beeping and all. I wasn't sure who that was coming from. Okay. I'm here. Can you hear me? Hello?
We're still here. That's someone else coming in, Erasmus.
I'm sorry?
It sounds like someone else is trying to call in. It's not us.
Okay.
Welcome to Ring Central Meetings. Please enter your meeting ID.
Is there someone else on the phone?
Sign.
Jessica, is that you? All right. Hang on just one moment.
947001333. If this is correct, press 1. To re-enter your meeting ID, please enter your participant ID followed by the pound or hash key. If you do not have a participant ID, there are...
I'm on.
Okay, Jess, is that you?
That is me. I had to dial in. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's
hear
okay.
Anybody. Okay.
Yeah. We heard you dialing and all that stuff. We heard the music and all. So I was calling you on your cell to say, stop what you're doing, but that's okay. And Marie, are you still there?
Yes, we're still here.
Okay, terrific. I'd like to introduce, also on the phone here, calling in from Alacrinet, is my counterpart, Jessica Titano. Jess, you want to say hi to everyone? Jess? Okay, well, it sounds like we're still having some audio issues here as well, so why don't we just go ahead and get started. So, as I was saying, I wanted to kind of give you a brief overview first. This will only take like 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll get right into the demonstration. But I just want to make sure that's clear, because if you go out to the IBM website and you do a search on eForms and things like that, you might get a little bit confused with the different names and terminologies of past products and new products and all of that, the IBM eForm solutions. So, and actually there are two different solutions that accomplish kind of different things, address different aspects of your business. So I just wanted to take a few minutes just to kind of go through that. Okay, so the objective here, and again, I want to keep this as interactive as possible, is to explain how eForms works and how it can help accelerate your business. All right, so for the agenda today, okay, the value of eForms, and again, this will just take about like 5 or 10 minutes here, and then we'll get right into the demonstration. So the value of eForms, the two different types of solutions, and how they're being used today in some different customer situations. Okay, so of all the charts, this is probably the most important and probably the most relevant here. So it really shows the evolution of eForm technology, and the IBM solution set can address any and all of these different aspects. So when you first start talking about eForm, you see down there at the in the chart at the lower left-hand corner, readable content, right? And these are basically value points that say, why would you want to use eForms, right? Now, obviously, you guys are already using eForms on your web, so you know, for example, that having an eForm, it is a lot more legible, easy to read, and so forth. Point number 2, okay, being able to print and save and fill out those different forms to archive them and retrieve them later on. Point number 2 there, to fill and print. Basically what that means is being able to help to pre-populate information that might have already been entered either from the existing application or from other applications, possibly even a cookie in the browser that can be leveraged to say, oh, okay, I need to open up this form. Oh, look at that. Half of it's already filled out because it already has my name, address, number, and things of that nature to help pre-populate. Okay, then you get into the process-centric aspect of eForms, what this actually brings to the table. And this starts getting into moving more away from just using forms as a data entry point, but to actually be able to capture the form itself as a legal document. Okay, IBM eForms is, it can be downloaded, stored, saved, and signed, and be even used in a court of law. You have all different types of authentication mechanisms if you need this, but it's a very powerful tool because not only does it allow you to input and capture data, but it will also save that form as a legal document, and then you can archive it, index it, have a history of different aspects of the form and so forth. And then all the way up at the very top, the enterprise process content management. So again, what this part is meaning not only just capturing and storing information, but being able to actually capture that information and feed it into workflow. Now, when we spoke last week, we were talking a little bit about, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the way that you currently use forms is on your website, you go and you enter in a whole bunch of information, and then you hit submit, and then that is actually stored in an SQL database from which later on other applications will pull that information and use that information as needed. Well, our form solution definitely does that, but it actually takes it a few steps beyond. One, for example, is the fact that you cannot make mistakes on the form. You have at-the-glass error checking, meaning that if it's asking for a social security number and you type in 8 numbers instead of 9, or if you type in letters as opposed to numbers or things like that, it will not let you proceed, and it will say, okay, look, it has to be in this format. Moreover, it can also directly link into your existing workflows, IBM workflow engines and other, any type of BPEL standard workflow. IBM Forms will allow you to resurface in front end. Another nice thing about the forms as well is that it can be personalized. So say, for example, you have one form created on your website, but it might be accessible by different people who speak English and Spanish and French and so forth. IBM Forms supports, I think now it's up to 10 different languages, which it actually will automatically transcode based on the code pages of the browser and the requesting device. Meaning that if you write the form in English, but it is then being viewed by someone who speaks Japanese and has a Japanese keyboard, okay, eForms definitely supports the bi-directional keyboard and all of that. So the whole idea is that you write the form once, and then it can be viewed by not only different devices, but also by different people in code pages and browsers. Okay, so that kind of power really now kind of moves from creating an actual form, but more in the realm of an intelligent form or even an application itself. Now, before I move on, one area that I want to point out is that the form design tool, all these great things that I'm talking about, okay, the form design tool itself, and you'll see this in the demonstration, does not require you to be an XML, HTML, JavaScript programmer or anything at all like that. The tool is designed for business users to be able to have a WYSIWYG interface, to be able to drag and drop and customize and store and save and test out, all web-based, meaning that you don't have to have a design tool on your machine. As long as you have access to the tool online, you'll be able to do this type of development work. So how can IBM eForm Solutions help? So a lot of different ways, and we mentioned a few of these already. It collects data easily, accurate, and completely, which means that it does the error checking at the point of entry. It doesn't gather the information and then it goes back to the database of the application. The application says, no, this isn't bad, and it goes back, right? That wastes a lot of round trip time, right? So you can build intelligence into the actual form itself to say, I expect numbers or a certain format, for example, a client ID number, for example, which might be 3 letters followed by 4 numbers or something like that. You can build in error checking like that. And then again, as I said, you can front end that right into applications that you have. I talked about the WYSIWYG wizard, which will guide a user through the process of actually creating a form. Again, it is geared for a non-technical user. Now, all that being said, you can absolutely open up the form once it's done and add additional, JavaScript and HTML and XML and all these other different types of programmatic changes to the form if you wish. However, the tool is pretty robust, and I think you'll like it when we actually get there. Okay, so the data exchange, we'll talk a little bit more about it being open and all of that. We have yet to see a situation where the information from a form cannot be consumed by a different type of application. We even have customers where they create a form that is actually fed directly into green screen applications. And we can talk a little bit more about that as well if that's an area. I was wrong, so it's more than 10 languages, actually 26 languages now that we support. Okay, and again, that also supports the bidirectional code pages and all of that of multilingual keyboards and browsers. There is a rich client option here. I don't think that's what you all are going to need, but I'll just speak to that briefly. Basically, what the rich client is there is a toolkit that you can choose to download onto your local machines. That toolkit is free. You really only pay for actually the access points. But if you choose to develop the forms on a local standalone machine, you certainly can do that as opposed to doing the web interface. Again, what's nice about the web interface is that it is a centralized point. So if you have teams of users who are going to be creating different forms and so forth, you have a centralized management point for the forms before they go out. And then industry-specific capability and compliance. We have, Swift is one of Alacronet's biggest clients. We've done things for the federal government with forms. So I'll just put it on the table right now. 100% HIPAA compliant, 100% totally secure in a cloud environment as well. So if we need to come back to that point later on about the levels of security, we definitely can talk to that as well. Okay. Are there any questions up to this point?
So this is Ruth. So with your data validation, that's you have a lot of flexibility for customizing that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's very easy as well. If we have time today, I'll show you how you do that as well. But again, I want to point out one other thing. Everything is basically, well, I don't want to say it like one size fits all, but all of the capabilities are available regardless of device. So that at the glass validation can be done if you're using a desktop machine, a laptop, an iPhone, an iPad, anything at all like that. It will still give, I don't want to say it will give an error, but it will not allow you to even tag out to go to the next field until it says, oh, you have to do this. Another aspect of this as well is that you can create, of course, mandatory fields and inputs, right? To say, okay, look, you cannot move forward or you cannot submit this form unless you put input into fields 1, 2, and 5, for example. So it doesn't have that total type of command. And I mean, again, a lot of this stuff is, you know, actually pretty typical to like a lot of online forums. But again, we'll get into a few of the differences in a moment. Okay, so this is another important slide as well, where it basically highlights the two different types of IBM eForm technologies, okay? On the left-hand side, data-centric solutions, and this is what we're really going to be demoing today, is the Forms Experience Builder, okay? Now, again, what's nice about this is, again, the tooling is all web-based. The records are data-centric, meaning that you aren't so much concerned with the actual form itself, even though the form looks nice and rich and all of that. But you really want to do that data validation. You want to be able to make sure that the information is passed correctly to different type of backend applications. A database is a very, very easy way to do it. I know that's the way that your business model works today. However, at some point in the future, and again, this is what we're really talking about, right? Laying down a foundation to handle your immediate needs, but also be able to expand later. You could literally do away with the database, okay? You could actually have a form come up, take information, and then pump that information directly into the application. Now, you might not want to do that, of course, right, for error checking and validation later on. However, the Experience Builder is really a superset. It kind of has all of the capabilities of an eForm experience. The eForm, again, can be customized to who the user is, where they're coming from, language, region, type of customer it is, what type of demographic information you might have of this person based on some other information from another application, okay? So it's a very, very robust, fully functional solution. Now, on the other side of the chart here, document-centric. This is where it says like paper. Basically what that means there is if it's important for you to maintain that form, if you want to keep the form itself for legal purposes, when you say, okay, I want to accept an order, for example, okay, or I am doing an online contract, or I'm doing TurboTax, for example, where all the information is very important, and I also want to keep a PDF copy of the submitted form, okay, as it's completed. Now, I'll tell you, the classic forms on the right is a subset of the Forms Experience Builder on the left, which means that when you get the Experience Builder, you get the classic form product as well. The reason why that I want to differentiate or basically highlight the two different solutions here is because, again, if you go out and do a Google search and things like that, you'll see, okay, Forms Experience Builder versus IBM Forms or eForms. I just wanted to make sure that it was clear on what the different capabilities are. Okay? Okay, so out-of-the-box solutions, this kind of does a little bit, well, it does a better idea than me babbling on and on and on about the different types. And also, by the way, I will, after this call, email you these slides as well, right? So you'll have all of this information, my contact information and so forth. Okay, but yep. So again, this is a great chart too because it shows you, okay, kind of like the different capabilities. On the top where you have the Forms Builder, it's kind of the superset of everything that you need. It includes the IBM Forms Classic piece, but also when you want to do more intuitive and intelligence at the form level. Okay. Zero footprint. So both solutions, well, unless I call it out specifically, both solutions do the same things as far as, like, for example, what we're talking here with zero footprint. Everything is web-based. You can definitely download the forms when completed and store it on your device or wherever you want to store it. Okay. The design tool itself is actually up on the web as well, and I'll show that in a few more minutes. And then 100% secure delivery. Okay, So you can even encrypt the form you want. And again, we did a little bit, or a lot of this actually for the federal government, where they had documents stored that needed to be encrypted at the source. So a totally secure connection while you're inputting and creating the form. Once you hit submit and the form is accepted, you have the option to download it in encrypted format and even password protect the form as well. So highly robust security capabilities of the form if you need that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about user experience as well. Now, if you so choose, and again, this is kind of you know, maybe step 2 in the process, but I always like to come back to the foundation discussion, meaning that if you have a small need today, that's great. We definitely can address that. Okay, but the nice thing about this solution is as well is that later on, when you have different types of needs, or if you have different requirements, say for example, I want to enhance the iPad experience, or I want to be able to, in the form, click on something and have a map come up, okay, from Google Maps, or be able to click on a field in a form and have a video play to explain how I want to complete the form, or if I might want to, in the form, have individual widgets or application components from other applications that were never even meant or designed for forms. I can basically link or embed this type of information into the forms themselves, okay? Now, the other nice thing as well is, going back to the point where we say that you can actually download, or you have the option after a form is completed to have the end user actually download it and then complete the form later on. Now, that's kind of like a caveat here with what I'm talking about here, because a link out to Google Maps, for example, obviously you have to have internet access. However, things like widgets that, depending on their size, you might want to allow to be embedded in the form and downloaded when the form is downloaded itself, or you know, have those different capabilities to say, okay, if you download the form, you won't be able to have the access or the full function. Okay, so it's a either or type of scenario. It's really a trade-off as to how big you want the form to be if you are going to have people downloading it. Okay. ECM capabilities. Again, I will send you these slides because I don't want to bore you with all the line items here. But long story short, out of the box integration from IBM Form Solutions, we can link into ECM solutions. IBM's version is FileNet, so you'll see FileNet on this chart a few times. But any other type of standard relational database content management system, eForms can store the documents, meaning that you can have version control, auditability, change management, all these different types of capabilities within the artifacts of the form itself. It does allow the auto saving of forms as well. You can map data, as we said, from IBM Forms into other workflows. Another cool thing about this as well is you can actually have the form pop up multiple times, have the same form appear multiple times in the same workflow, okay, which is important because you might want to either revalidate with the end user. You might want to, if you don't do it at the form level, but in the workflow, you might want to say, let's take an example for retail. I go online, I fill out a form that I want 5 items of the same kind. The workflow starts, you know, it does the error check. It says, okay, this is a valid part number. It starts going through the workflow. Oh, wait a minute, some other client just bought up the rest of them, and there are only 2 remaining. So then the workflow would then position or represent the same form and tell the end user, oh, I'm sorry, that product only has 2 left. Do you still want the 2 and I can make recommendations for something else, or do you want to cancel the entire order? So again, the idea is that the form is a dynamic but also persistent interface that can be called multiple times until the actual workflow is done. this is one of the advantages of actually linking the form directly into the workflow as opposed to having the data dumped into a database and then pulled out later on. Because again, in that two-phase type of approach, if you put in a request for 5 items, that goes into the database, and then the forms work is done at that point, right? But then if that request now is pushed into a workflow, and the workflow continues at any point, the status of the actual backend system could change, and then you have to figure out how you want to do that. So again, if that is an aspect of this, I'm just pointing out at a very high level here of the different types of capabilities that you can use. Okay. Act as a step processor, which is kind of like what we were just talking about as well, and it can be used to initiate a workflow as well. Again, these are IBM slides, so it says FileNet, but different types of workflow engines as well. I also want to point out custom workflows as well. So, if you develop your own workflow engine as well, as long as it's BPEL compliant, we should be okay. And if you do have custom workflows, we can definitely take that offline at a different time and kind of interrogate what kind of workflow engines or applications you have. Okay, so I'm just going to give 3 quick real-world examples here of some case studies or customer examples. This one here is I can't use the name because it's actually actually secure, but a federal agency, R&D. It was having issues with the existing input. It was not user-friendly and resulted in information being improperly put into the form. So they had a form, wasn't intuitive, and they didn't have the error checking. With IBM's Form Experience Builder, we delivered an online interface with workflow that had actually several levels of the field validation. Not only did we have the field validation there to say, okay, again, going back to the same thing, I expect numbers and you're giving me letters, but it also would do back-end checking to make sure that information was even available as the back-end systems changed. So that was a robust scenario that, by the way, this actual example only took, I think it was about 2 months for the entire process. The actual design of the form itself was relatively easy. It was just a development time for actually linking into where in the workflow doesn't make sense to pull information. Another one, okay, so this is a nice one that has to do with mobility, where a railcar leasing company needed to do spot checks for rail cars. This was cool because currently they had a clipboard and they had information and they had people actually walking around and actually picking pieces of information up. As you can imagine, a rail yard is not the cleanest place in the world. Dust and debris all over the place, people with greasy fingers and all of that. So a lot of times information was either it could not be read, or the paper was messed up in some way. They couldn't even scan it in because it was just very messy. So this was an example of yes, we created a form and provided it out on a pervasive device, which was relatively easy. But what was also cool about this was that the capability of using the devices themselves to populate the fields in the form. So with this particular example, they had symbol devices, which looks a lot like a iPhone, but it had a barcode reader on it. So what they would do was actually walk around the train yards, okay, pull up the application on the device, on the symbol device, scan a barcode of a specific car or piece or item number or something like that, and then that information was already populated into the field on the form, meaning that if you had a component that had a 10-digit number, I mean, let's face it, I don't know about you, but I can't even remember my own phone number, let alone a product number that I'm just seeing. So it greatly impacted and helped this company in alleviating the time and also the error checking of information that was coming in. So very powerful solution of eForms on a mobile device, being able to leverage the capabilities of that device to help pre-populate the field in the form. This one is another very interesting aspect where it was a snow removal company. They also did landscaping as well during the rest of the season. What was nice about this application or this piece was this actually used the Google Maps and also Google Earth. Okay, that's the application, the free application where it gives you the satellite images of specific addresses. So how this would work is if someone would pick up the phone and call Brickman Group or ask for an on-site consultation, a person could come out during the winter and ask the client, okay, you know, what parking lots or what structures do you need snow to be removed? Well, the client would say, okay, this one over here, but then it would come down to, okay, are there any hidden obstacles? Are there any traffic cones or potholes or landscape structures that you want to make sure that the plows don't hit? Well, you know, it's easy to have that discussion, but it's even better to have access to a Google Earth application that actually has a picture of the site before there was ever snow on the ground. So then that now became a component of the form that when it was pushed through the workflow and actually the truck driver came out with his plow, he would get the form on the device saying, yes, this is the right address, like so on and so forth. But, oh, I see there are 2 trash cans here that are under 3 feet of snow. I'll make sure to go around those, okay? Again, this is another example of being able to add much more robust information to a form and have it stored for later retrieval. Okay? So those are just a couple of the examples of how eForms are used in today's world. Now, 2 things that I just want to do first of all. Maria, I have your email here. Thank you very much for sending the information. So what we're going to do is take one of your online forms here. Okay, this should look very familiar to you. And take a look at how quickly we can redo this. And okay, now another aspect of this, and I was going to actually send you all the link before, but I wanted to kind of take you through a tour before we send it to you. Okay, so if you go to this public website, okay, greenhouse.lotus.com, this is kind of a showcase site where IBM hosts a lot of its applications for customers like yourselves to actually go out and roll up your sleeves and actually touch and feel. So everything that I'm going to show you right now, you will be able to do on your own to really, you know, kick the tires and test out the product. Okay, so just greenhouse.lotus.com. If you're not registered, you can definitely sign up easily. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and log on to Greenhouse with my ID. And I wanted to take you through this. So once you're logged on, okay, you can go to Products, and you come down to IBM Forms Experience Builder. And if you have any issues, by the way, with any of this, as you're doing it, let me know, or I could even email you both some screenshots as well of the application. Okay, so here are a couple old forms I have. So I'm actually in the manager component. So these are existing forms. Now don't be fooled when it says application, okay? With the IBM Forms Experience Builder, we look at each form as an application, okay? Now don't be intimidated by that, because a form is a form is a form. It starts becoming more of an application when you start adding more components to it and business logic and things like that. So it's called at a high level an application. So it's you know, IBM's way of naming things. So okay, so I want to go ahead and I want to start to create a form. So all I do is I go in and I click on new application. Import, of course, is self-explanatory. If I'm in a team or work group or something like that, and other people are working on the form and so forth. Okay. So application name. So I'll just call this cotton, and I have more options here for like default layouts and things like that. So I'm fine with this, and I'm just going to say create. Okay. So this is this is the WYSIWYG editor. Okay, what you see is what you get editor. So I'll point out a few pieces here. Okay, number one, here are all the different components here that you can add to the form. This right here is kind of the palette, the desktop, if you will, of how you want to add the form itself. Again, this is kind of laid out in 4 boxes because that's just the default view that I took. And then this here is kind of the outline, okay? Now, I'm not going to get into too much of this today, but basically what the outline allows you to do is actually create dynamic forms, meaning, for example, like what we talked about last week about things like TurboTax. When you put in your income for the past year, and depending on that, you might be in a different tax bracket, so the form will change, okay? You can definitely have branches, if you will, okay, with decision trees to say, okay, if this person makes more or less, then I want to go here to page 2 as opposed to page 1, okay? But as I start creating this, you'll see that it starts to create the actual page itself. So the first thing that I want to do here is, and it says here, either click on the item or drag it to the area on the field, and you'll see this line here kind of highlights where you want the information to be. So if I go back to your page, okay, I see I have a logo here, and I have a banner here, and I have 2 tabs. All right, so let's first start with the actual logo. Now, I took the liberty of actually going to your website, and I already copied this logo already and saved it down to my desktop. So if I go down here and I say image, and then it says, okay, it now, I just clicked on it once and it went over here onto my palette, okay? And now I go over to the edit button right here, and it says, okay, where do I want to find this file? Now, I can pull it down off of a website or also from my local drive. If I come in and go to Forms Builder Demo, and yours is, let's see, I think it's this one here. Nope, let's see, that one, yeah, this one here, okay? And I'm gonna pick this guy, and I'm gonna say open, and okay. Can't be included for the student not permitted application hosted by server. Okay, so it's not letting me do that image. Let me see if I can pick a different one. It might be the size it might not like. Let me try this. Okay. I can increase the size later on with the width of picker. So I just say apply, and it's there. Okay, so right now I'm starting to create a form now, and I have an image. Okay, so now what do I want to do? Well, next thing I want to do is, let's see. Okay, just starting from the top and going down, I want to create a tab folder. Okay, details and registration. So all I do is I say, where are we? I know there's something in here for a survey. Let's see, what is it? Where is that guy? I remember that there was something in here. Tab folder, there we go. I've done this a couple of times, so I get a little bit confused. I apologize. Okay, so if I come in here and I say, okay, I want to now edit this. So as a default, it just has 1 tab, right? So I want to edit this guy, and I want to say tab 1. I want to say details, and I want to add another tab, and I want it to say registration. And I also, obviously, with any of these items, I can add hover or fly over help as well. Okay, I'll just say this is an example. Okay, and apply. All right, so now I have the information. Now, you'll see that I don't have the flyover help yet. That's only because I haven't actually, I don't want to say compile because that sounds very program-y, but I haven't launched the application yet. Let's just put it this way. Okay, so now on the registration tab, okay, I want to add, and I'm not going to do the entire form here because of the interest of time, right? But I have some radio buttons, I have some input fields and things like that. Also, too, the ones with the stars are obviously fields that I must put information in, right? Required fields, and the other ones, right? You really don't care about. Also have some drop downs as well. So all these different components here, okay, I can easily create. So say, for example, here. I want to come up to, I want to do some, let me see, I'm going to create a drop down, and in the drop down, I want to do a few of these items here. I'm not going to worry about the arrangement right now. Let me see if I can, okay, so all right, I'll just edit this. And options, edit, okay, some type of beneficial, just say, land. I'm just going to paraphrase here. I hope you don't mind. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. And as you can see, and I can put in additional flyover help with everything, as I said. Here, by the way, is where I hit the required field. Okay. So I hit apply. Okay. And now I have a star. Okay. Just like what you have here, a star. Okay. Meaning that's required. I can decide if I want it to be pre-populated. Okay, I'm sorry, pre-selected or not, okay? So that's a drop down. We're gonna do some radio buttons here as well. Okay, so obviously here, the difference between, and I can move over here if I wanna put it right next to the side, I can say select one. Okay, select one means radio buttons. Okay, so I can go in and just say, let's see, display value, option 1, option 2, option 3, I think, okay, so now, and then I did not say that that is a required field or not. By the way, this won't represent here. This is just like a item here, a placeholder for the actual designer. And then just regular input boxes and things like that. Oh, another key point that I usually always forget, but I'm glad I remember for you all, is that I can also have these drop downs linked dynamically to a backend data source. So for example, states is not a good example because they're never going to change, right? You're always going to have the same states. But if you have, okay, if we use the retail example, okay, what items are in stock, or what are the types of areas of the country where cotton growers are mainly focused. That might be a dynamic list depending on time of day or month or things like that. I can also have a dynamic link to have that done. Okay, so I just wanted to point out that I can have this information static like what we're doing here, or dynamically. A couple other cool things here as well. You have like a choice slider, which allows you to like pull information back and forth. Select menus where you have the check boxes and so forth. You also have, if I come down here, I'll show you another one where, you know, I have email link I can add in, timestamp. I don't know if there are any of these that you really want to see, but I mean, there's a.
Erasmus?
Yes.
At the bottom of the form that we have, toward the bottom, we
Yep.
have some optional selections for some workshops. Okay, so if you look at, say, Thursday, they can select up a little bit where you see the red, the breakout section.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so they can select 3 options. Each one of those boxes is 3. Now, this could be done in a different way, but they can make a multiple select. Okay, but we don't want them to be selecting the same thing. So you get an error message if you selected session 3 to be. So basically what we want to do is allow them to select do a multiple select. We're doing
Mhm.
it in 3 separate boxes because the way our back end was set up and we had to turn this around very quickly. So
Sure.
can you show me how that can be done?
Sure. Well, I can definitely redo it. I can definitely redo it right the same way if you want. The way that I would do it is I would say have one section for checkboxes. Okay. Add, how many options do you have here? Like 4?
Yes.
Yeah, 4. So how I would create this is I would have, okay, 4 checkboxes and say select 3. Right?
Okay.
So, where are we?
And
Just let me, checkbox properties, tile checkbox. There's a place in here that will show, let's see, sign, where is it? Did I hit the right one? Oh, edit rules is where I would go in there. Let me add 1 or 2 items, and then, that's funny, why am I not? Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. All right. So it would be, I did the wrong thing. I apologize. I hit checkbox here, okay, because that's just 1. I did the wrong one. I want to say select many. That's what I wanted. Okay. Now I can go in and say, and again, it's going to be a lot easier for you guys to learn this tool than me to learn your all of your codes and all of that. So if I go in and I say, and I'm just gonna, and then what's another one? Sensors. Okay. And apply, and let's see, there is something in here that says, there's a space in here that says to require, let's see, require 2 or 3. I'm not sure.
I think it was on the, excuse me, on the advanced tab, I think I saw something about number that you can select. Is that what?
Oh, yep, here it is. Thank you, bro. Hey, see, it was a test and you passed. See that? Great. Okay, so if we just say 2, if we say 2, and you don't have to set, okay, but if say minimum 2, okay, so what that means is obviously that you have to do 2. Okay, so that is the way that I would do that. And again, this is thinking right off the cuff. There might be some other ways, but again, you know, and being able to do this. Oh, also too, and I'm really pushing against the hour, and I do apologize. And again, if we need to regroup, okay, we definitely can do this. This is where you start to add the business rules. Okay, this is where you can start saying, okay, if an input is a certain value, greater or less than, or something like that, then do this. Okay, which would primarily mean go to another page in the form. Okay. This is when you start talking about intelligent forms, okay, being able to pass information back and forth, okay? Another aspect of this that I want to show is, obviously I can duplicate the item, but in the advanced or also the formula as well. Okay, these are more for like programmers and things like that, all right, like where you can select on, okay, add a certain action, here's the JavaScript that I want to put in, okay, if you want to start getting into that realm, okay? But as you can see, it's a very, very intuitive kind of guided type of approach, right, that will allow you to add additional functionality and capability later on. This could be, okay, put this information into a database. This could be email somebody something. This could be an alert on your portal page. It could, oh, I remember the other thing too that I wanted to show was over here. Very, very cool and powerful tool, the survey component, okay? This can be used, you know, 1,000 different ways, not just for a survey, right? If you, and again, also keeping in mind, going back to the customer example that I gave before, where you can actually have information passed from the actual pervasive device itself. Okay, so you can have information, say, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, the territory or the cotton product itself, you know, is you know, in bad shape. So it's going to be a 2 versus whatever. Okay. What's nice about things like this is that it can then be pushed into analytic collection, either into a database or actually use the analytic tool of the product. I don't have the component on here right now. However, what that allows you to do is say, okay, collect all the information, and you can decide if you want to show on the form what other people have been voting on as well. Okay, so that, I mean, I could spend like a whole 20 minutes just on that one component, okay, but again, out of the box. Okay, a couple of things as well is at any time I can actually change the style of the form, access, who has access to it, okay, who can change it, who can view it, who can promote it onto the website, the actual stages of the workflow, and also the validation as well, to say it compiles every time you save to say, okay, there are issues with the application. This usually comes into play like when it, if you establish or connecting to a database and the database isn't there, or the JDBC call or whatever XML call wasn't configured correctly, it'll say at time of capture that, or I'm sorry, at time of save that I want to validate it. Okay. So, all right. So I'm at the application now, and I want to do a save the application, and now I actually want to go to manage. Okay, so what you'll see now is back on my manage tab, I have my new application. Okay, I can go back in and edit it at any time. Okay, but the first thing, all these are not selectable because I haven't deployed it yet. I can export it because it hasn't been. But if I hit deploy, okay, this is really cool. So the manager itself, and again, this is done on the server. Okay, it'll say, when do I want it to be deployed? I can have a start and a stop, right? If it's something time, day, month, year specific, then I can automatically like select this. Okay, so I'm just going to say for today right now. Okay, and then I say start. Okay, and it's deploying it. Also, a cool thing here too, like it also shows the history, also shows, you know, who did what. This is great for auditability. Okay, per application. Okay, and now I just want to go ahead and launch it. And it just form 1. I didn't rename the actual page. I should have done that to like first page. Okay, and here is, oh, I guess I didn't save. Oh yeah, I did. Okay, so here is my form running. Okay, and I didn't put anything on the details tab, but if I hit registration, here are my text. Okay, so if I do this and this, see, it gave me an error. It said I must select no fewer than 2. Okay, so it's working. It's running all web-based, right? No tools or anything on my actual desktop, and I can just hit submit, and then it's been submitted. Now, what it has done by default is it just stores it in the database on the form server itself. But obviously, I can reroute any of this information to, you know, wherever I want the information to go. That's to your SQL database, into a workflow, into some other application, very open, XML, you know, JDBC calls, whichever you want to use. If you have specific examples, we can, you know, regroup and do that at a later time. But again, hopefully, and it's just exactly 11 o'clock, ding, 1 hour. Hopefully this gave you of how easy it is to use the product, and how it really is a WYSIWYG editor, but very, very powerful, very secure, and you know, industry leading in this space. So I will send you the slide deck. One thing I realized that I didn't add in is I didn't put in my contact information. I'll put it here on the front page, and then I'll send it to you. Also on the phone as well is Jessica. I don't know if she was able to join again, But Jessica is my counterpart. I'm on the East Coast, she's on the West Coast, and we kind of tag team with this.
I'm
all
still
the
here,
different- Oh, hey Jess, how are you? So I will also add Jessica's information as well. So email and phone number. So please feel free to reach out to us at any time. Before we wrap up, are there any questions on what you saw, or questions about capabilities of the tool, or positioning, or anything like that?
I think we need to kind of take a look at that example that you sent us, you know, where we could go and build and kind of look at that a little bit. Yeah, the greenhouse a little bit. So if you could send any information on that, that'd be good.
Sure.
And
So I'll update the slide with my contact information and Jessica's, but also this URL. Okay, it's basically just greenhouse.lotus.com. All you have to do is go in and sign up yourself. Okay, you don't need any, you know, it's free. You don't need to put in, I think it might ask you for company information and things like that, but well, actually, I'll just go in. Okay, hey, look, it's a form. So, yeah, this is the information they're going to ask. And if you say IBM contact, you can say down here IBM partner, and I'll send our information here as well. Okay.
Good.
All right.
Okay, and can you send me, if you have some pricing information on this product?
Sure. Yes, I definitely will. I'll basically send you two. I'll send you one for the forms, which is kind of the lower end, and then also one for the experience builder. And like that, we do like resell, of course, all of the software and all complementary solutions as well. And we also offer development services as well for integration, migration, all things like that. So I'll send you information on all of that.
Okay, and when you talked about the first part of it being the forms, you're talking about the classic forms, right?
Correct.
And
I'll send you.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I'll send you the pricing on both.
Okay.
Okay, the experience.
Builder includes the classic forms.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And also, just for pricing, I'll send you. Yeah, it'll be. I know that your team, I think you said last time, has about 100 people that would actually be creating the forms, right? But it would be used by, you know, many others, right? Forms like on your website, correct?
Well, not necessarily. We didn't have 100 people creating forms for sure.
Okay.
It's going to be a much smaller group that would be actually creating the forms because
Got it.
And everything.
Understood. Okay.
So we're talking probably closer to 10, maybe 15 on that
Got it.
on that side of it. If it's a web form that's used on our outside servers externally, then we're looking at higher numbers. But from internal, it would be under 200, probably about 150.
Okay. Okay, I'll see what I can do about clip levels as well too, you know, so that you can try it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Erasmus.
Okay. It was my pleasure. Thank you very much for the time. I'll get this information out to you within the hour. And if you have any other questions on what we have been discussing today, you know, obviously feel free to shoot me an email or call anytime at all.
All right.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, everyone.